Hey everyone, it is Garrison, and today we're going to chat about my internship process over the summer of 2020. If you've been watching for a while, you know I'm a big automotive enthusiast, car enthusiast. I've worked at a rural Eastern North Carolina Toyota dealer for about 5 years before getting serious in my academics at UNCW, studying marketing strategy. So I've got a couple of notes here. We're just going to dive right into the summer of 2020. If you're not familiar or if you're watching in the future, if you've been under a rock, that was the summer of the COVID-19 crisis. And so it really threw a wrench in my goals of interning at a huge company, a Fortune 500, big car company, whatever it was. So I had set my goals, and one of the first opportunities that was coming my way was Broder Carwiz worked at the Lexus Southern office in Atlanta for his summer of 2019, I think it was. And that was a video where I drove down and met him and all this kind of stuff. It was a great experience. He talked highly of Lexus. He's still working there today. And I was arrogant in the fact that I was going to be a shoe-in. Like, I thought that this was me. Like, it had my name all over it. I had previous Toyota experience. I had connections with Brooks. And so I drove down to Atlanta, interviewed, et cetera, and then I was ghosted. Frankly, I think the interview process was kind of outsourced to the Toyota division out in Texas, and the local office didn't really have much say in it. But long story short, that fizzled out, and I kind of had a new perspective on the interview process and such like that after that. I was spamming my resume to every major car company, every major Fortune 500 company. And there were a couple biters. So I have previous connections at IBM. A distant relative is head of procurement at the global headquarters in Raleigh-Durham. And so I was able to secure a position in their procurement division as a procurement professional for the summer of 2020. Whereas that's great, that's a great resume booster. IBM is a huge company. It wasn't automotive. And so while I had that position, I was still exploring other opportunities in the automotive field. If I had to burn an IBM bridge to get an automotive role, which is what I was really passionate about, I was willing to do that. And so GM actually called me one afternoon. I think it was Q3, Q4 of 2019. I think it was December of 2019. And they said, hey, your resume slipped through the cracks. There was a couple roles that we saw you applied for. We have one waiting for you. And I was like, great. And it was a Cadillac position, a Cadillac marketing position, and I was going to be in charge of the 2021 Cadillac Escalade launch at the Detroit International Auto Show. I was like, great, sign me up. We went through a couple interviews. Slowly fizzled out though. I quickly learned Cadillac does not get a lot of funding from GM. When the pandemic had just started in March, they sent out denial letters to all positions. So of course I had to formally apply for that Cadillac position, which meant I got the formal denial letter later that week. But one that came around and I was shocked that I received was with Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. And as the title already says, I was an intern with their passenger car division. How it went was the application process. I didn't know anyone at FCA. I didn't pull any strings. I didn't work my way from the top down. I frankly went on the FCA careers website, applied for every internship role that I could be applicable for, and I applied. I applied through the FCA website. A couple weeks went by, I got an interview, and it was through Google Hangouts, which little did I know that I was foreshadowing my future being all Google Hangouts related. But it was a 4-person interview, like a 4-panel interview almost, which was a little bit of a cluster almost because people were talking over each other. It was hard to hear people, and I was kind of answering. It was like almost like a shotgun style. I was bam, 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 like answering questions, which was a lot. But I went through a couple rounds of those, and I got the position. So I was passenger car brands corporate intern for the Chrysler Fiat role. If you're unfamiliar with the Fiat Chrysler Automobiles structure, they have the passenger car brands, which is Chrysler, Fiat, Alfa, Dodge. Maserati is a separate entity. So I was Chrysler Fiat passenger car brands intern. I applied for a bunch of marketing roles, but I ended up just getting the broad passenger car brands role. I got the position. It was all finalized within February of 2020. Little did we know what was coming. So expectations were I was going to move to Auburn Hills. It was going to be provided housing, provided transportation. I elected to drive my car, which was going to be compensation for mileage, gas, and hotels along the way. because that was going to be about 16 hours of a drive. They would have flown me in, but I wouldn't have transportation while I was there, so I wanted my car there. So provided housing, provided transportation, and my big project was going to be the 2021 Pacifica refresh and the Detroit International Auto Show. So that was going to be my big project. Well, it still was partially. The COVID-19 crisis kind of threw a wrench in those plans. The reality was there was a big delay on hearing back from FCA while they were kind of in limbo on what was going to happen. Obviously, all internships, all corporate America roles were kind of at a halt. They were prioritizing their day-to-day employees and keeping the lights on, and not the interns coming in that are getting paid probably way more than they should be to be part of their company. And so there was a huge 2-3 month delay where all the interns were kind of in limbo. We didn't know if it was still going to happen. And so finally, at the end of May of 2020, after months of not really knowing if the role was going to occur, I was getting denials from the Cadillac position. The Cadillac position lacked funding. I think Ford still had some interns, but I think it was a lot of local people. They were not really sourcing and bringing people in for the sake of COVID-19. There was no traveling. And so the reality was there was a huge delay. But as you can tell by the title, there was still an internship. I was really proud of FCA. They did not cut anyone to my knowledge. There was about over 200 interns. We have a big group me with about 161 interns actually. And we all talk about kind of how our roles were and all that kind of stuff. But the internship went virtual and we were shipped computers. Day-to-day operations were going to be from our remote location. So it was an all-remote internship, which was interesting. And I can kind of talk vaguely high level about that. So once again, I was passenger car brands operations on the Chrysler Fiat role. I didn't really know what to expect going into that because it wasn't marketing based. And it was all anything that people could throw at me. So the higher ups would throw me like ad hoc assignments, whether it was tracking down a specific cabin air filter or checking out the website to see if there were any issues on the website. But some consistent trends that I did do were daily demand reporting for FCA, which was the Chrysler brands, Chrysler and Fiat Automobiles, and the website reporting almost. So I did some digital performance in relation to spend. So kind of looking at our spend, checking out our digital performance, seeing what was going well, what wasn't, and reporting that back to my boss. And then I did a lot of work on the hybrid. So as you know, hybrid technology is big for all industries, especially the automotive and FCA specifically. And so the Pacifica hybrid holds a huge role in Chrysler's lineup. And the Wrangler 4xe was coming out, so we were kind of pinpointing a lot of hybrid trends and a lot of hybrid work from the Pacifica hybrid. So that was kind of my main project. Overall, it was a great internship. It was cut down, so it was about 10 weeks. So it was about 2.5 months or so, because it was supposed to start in late May, where I was going to move to Detroit or Auburn Hills, about 20 miles north of Detroit. And it was cut short, so it was June, July, and I ended August 7th. But if you have any questions about the role, feel free to leave them down below. I'll be as honest as I can. It was a great opportunity. We're actually still waiting to hear back about full-time opportunities as I am a graduate in December, hoping that the budget gets approved anytime now. But they are doing the merger with the European automotive company with the Stellantis name, I think is what it is. But we're going to end this with some professional development tips almost. I have some written down. Interviewing with corporate America is no fun, but there's definitely some trends that you can follow that might help you out along the way. So it's not just Southern hospitality where you need to thank everyone. Thanking your interviewer and thanking the time that they're allocating towards you is immense, especially when you're working your way above just the recruiters. When you're talking to professionals that it's not their day job to talk to the interns, potential interns, you have to thank those people for their time. So I was really invested in the Cadillac role. So I mailed those and just addressed them to the person I interviewed with and then the main office. If it made it to them, great. If not, I did everything I could. In addition to that, connecting on LinkedIn, sending thank you emails as well as a much more prompt response. And then the STAR method is something I noticed, whether it was the IBM interviews or the FCA interviews, everyone was really focused on the STAR method, which was the situation, task, action, and the result of your previous experience. So whether it was a Massey experience, Boy Scouts, whatever it would be on your resume, you would really have those key points that you would know were your go-to responses for many questions. And last is spam your resume everywhere. Don't put all your eggs in one basket like I did with Lexus. Really keep all your options open, and it will be the ones that you least expect that come back and really kind of do flourish into great opportunities. So have an impressive LinkedIn, send your follow-up thank yous, use the STAR method, and spam a resume that you are positive has zero issues and is the best that it can be. That's all I've got for you. The automotive industry is a big one. As I've learned quickly, a car purchase is the second largest purchase that many people make in their lives, whether it be a $90,000 Maserati or a $20,000 Renegade. It is still a big purchase for many, second being just behind their house. So it's a big industry. There's a lot of fluctuation. The car industry was heavily affected by COVID, and that was something I got to see firsthand from my daily demand reporting at FCA. But if you have any questions about the experience, definitely leave them down below. Fingers crossed I do hear back and I do see a career in the corporate automotive field. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video.